With this, we talk policy, strategy, and growth pathways. And maybe this isn't the panel that you thought it was, and that's why you should stick around. I'm going to bring up our moderator, Sean Dana, CEO of Ignite the Spark, Gilly Heisler, Head of Global Innovation and Investments, Israel Electric Company, Sharon Hatzor, Deputy Director General for Planning, Policy, and Strategy, Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure, Ido Schwab, Director of Economic Regulation, Israel Electric Authority. Please, come take the stage.
Okay, few more minutes to settle down. All right, so thanks everybody for staying, and thanks again for the panelists to join us for the what is holding us between the lunch break. And we started today with talking with view perspective, innovation, energy market shifts, water energy nexus, try kind of connect a lot of dots together, and now we get to see, and I'm lucky to have a representative from the regulators, from utility and the government, yet innovation, it's not sometimes that goes hand by hand with those kind of stakeholders. And for our entrepreneurs, innovation ecosystem, maybe you can share a bit more about yourself and maybe how the organization work with innovation, how it shifts you, how you work intelligently and framework, and we go from that.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for this week. Maybe we'll try to call some people in. I don't know if you can do that. Part of the thing. Okay. So thank you for that. I'm Ido Schwab, and I'm the VP of Innovation in the Electricity Israel Authority, and it's a new division. We just, I think, one half a year, we start over, and now we try to develop ourselves and build the methodology, what we're going to do, what we plan to do, how is the regulator is supposed innovation, not from the beginning of the innovation, because what is interesting for us is more about how to implement innovation inside the system. And they talked before, Igor said it before, the electricity is very sensitive system. Gilly can also add about that, and it's very difficult to convince engineering to bring something new to the system. So it's a big challenge for us, and this is something we are looking for it and how to solve this problem.
Hi, my name is Gilly Heisler. I'm head of innovation and investments at Israel Electric, the Israeli utility. And actually, it's a fair question because innovation doesn't go along always with utilities, especially in the energy sector. But actually, it has to go together. And the reality, especially in energy, is that we have the very best technology here. And innovation, unfortunately, did not succeed the minute the great innovation is being invented or created. It does succeed when it is implemented. So we have great startups here, but they need access, and they need access to real infrastructure and to real data and to real operational challenges and to real clients, customers. This is what they need. And this is where we come in, and we need the same thing, but from the other side of it. I think maybe Israel Electric is operating maybe one of the most complex and mission critical infrastructure, I won't exaggerate, thing in the world, especially living in the neighborhood where we are. And every day we face hundreds of real challenges in grid stability and in cybersecurity and in the security going around the neighborhood here, of course. And everything, AI, everything, electrification, crazy stuff going on every day. And we cannot solve these problems, which are not already, it's not tomorrow's problems, it's today's problems. We cannot solve it with the current tools. It's just not enough anymore. So we have to have the new technologies. We have to have it. It's not a side activity. It's not a nice to have. It's really a business necessity for Israel Electric. And the only bridge we have to give, or the gap to bridge here, is between the great invention that the state of Israel has and the brilliant Israelis' mind, and deployment, which is, on the other hand, we're going to talk about it. And this is exactly where we are, and this is what we're trying to do.
I think that in the Ministry of Energy, technology is one of our main pillars. When you look at 2050, we have to diversify our energy sources, and we look at technology. We look at geothermal and fusion and nuclear, and we also looked at various of technologies. So I think that this is one of the main roads that we are looking into, also on a strategic level. And I think that Israel can be a leading countries in various of technologies, and I'm guessing that Brian talked about it in the morning. And I think that when we are talking about AI, we should talk about efficiency, and Israel should be one of the leading countries in AI efficiency technologies. So we invest a lot in the strategy, and also in investment. But I think that we should do more. When we are looking at countries around us, especially in Europe, we see that Israel do not invest enough in energy technologies, and of course we are trying to do our best, but it needs to be a lot more. I think the second thing that we need to discuss is that when we looked around, we see different tools. I mean, it's not only about the money. We see loans, we see tax benefits, and we also see a lot of regulation that allow companies to penetrate to the market. And I think that what we are going to do is we are going to focus on the highest TRLs, the implementation with our partners. So we're going to focus on that, because I think that when we looked at a global level, at the beginning, I think it's very easy for a startup to start, and I think that we have pretty much good tools and investments. But then when he reached a several level, I think that the money is not enough and the regulation is still not there. So we're going to focus on that.
Okay, so you mentioned a lot of stuff. Let's try to take together all the dots. You mentioned you're trying to build a new section, new Department of Innovation, which is exciting by itself to see how the regulators think about that. I know it might take time until it's implemented actually. Gila, you've mentioned some mechanism and actually that penetration, work with the market, and you say that financial support is required. Maybe Gila, maybe you can start to share a little bit how the utility, what kind of platform you have that support from early stage even, and to a little bit more involvement when the TRLs get a little bit more opportunity to penetrate the market?
Sure. So we're looking, basically we're touching three main areas. We have an open call Koreh, like a tender in our website, 24/7 open tender, calling all new startups that has solutions to our main core challenges, which are, you can all see it very easily in our website. And calling all those startups that has the technology just to fill a 5 minutes, really like very easy form to tell us what it is. And then we have formed a very easy committee, I would say it, because of regulation, because all we have is to see very quickly if it's good or not.
Easier process to apply.
A very
that,
easier
to get
process.
on board.
Some people hear call Koreh or a tender, they think, oh my God, it's going to be like, it's going to take us weeks or a month. So no, it's 5 minutes. It's amazing, really, and it's something that we worked really hard on with the regulators when we build it, because we understand that our main focus should be to give access first access for startups to come and to pitch their technology first to the Israel Electric and to see. And so that's one way. On the other hand, when we don't find a solution, we have an R&D team, which is doing an amazing job, and are actually developing with external startups or technology companies the solution that we cannot find outside. And then the third pillar is that we invest as a CVC, again with the great help of our regulators and the ministry, in our main core
How
challenges.
many startups per year you invest?
Until between 1 and 2, we give great checks, which are between $1 million to $2 million, and I think it's not something that it wasn't here 6 years ago. There wasn't even the pathway to that. And the regulation actually changed, which is beautiful to see. And I think this is the main change that we see on this stage, actually, within the three of us. And in general, there is a change in the mindset in the state of Israel. And now everyone understands and aligned that innovation is something that is a must-have, is something that the critical infrastructure in Israel has to have those innovation coming into her, not only as great pilots, but in moving, how do we help moving great pilots into real operational solutions. And we sit here, I think really, you could say hand in hand, because we see it, with the same eyes, and you see that mindset changing, and the barriers are coming, they're still there. But they're coming.
Maybe click on that. We definitely see a momentum for the energy sector. Mindset has been changed.
Exactly.
We saw earlier 180 startups in the new ecosystem Upwork just launched. And Sharon, you mentioned some regulation that can be supported. Maybe you can start, and also Ido afterwards, how regulators or what more support can actually bridge the gap of, you say it's not enough support. So
No, I think first of all we should give. Money is an issue. And as I said at the beginning, especially in those stages, but I also think that we can change the way that we give loans in general for projects such as energy and also health and other more infrastructure project. But I think also that what Gili has been doing is giving access. And this is also something that it's very important, and Ido and I have a lot of discussions about it, how to give more access, for example, to the Israeli grid, for example, and other infrastructures, because I think that one of the main things is just to be able to experience, to have a pilot, So I think that there's a lot to do at the money side, and I think that also just trying to build a pilot in Israel, it's very hard on the planning regulation, and we also have a couple of ideas there. I see Gidon here. We tried something, I think, maybe 4 years ago, but perhaps now it's a better time to try it again. So we have also a lot of kind of regulation in that area, and I think that if we will combine the regulation at the electricity market and the governmental companies, I think that it is something that is very unique to Israel. I mean, we have government companies that can think for a longer time, and they can invest in technology, but much more than that, they can give access. And Gili is here, and I saw people from Katsa and Tasha and etc. So I think that this is also an area that we need to push further on.
So definitely the government look forward and in the future, building a long-term plans, how to connect everything that can bridge the
how to implement.
Implement it.
I think this is one of the biggest issues in Israel, is how to implement technologies into the market.
Yeah, I think it's mentioned also in the panel before, 0 to 1, it's maybe might be easier, 1 to 100, that might be the challenge. Maybe you would like to address from your point of view for that?
Yeah, we tried to do in the recent years, and we will try to do it more, to open areas for sandbox. We did it in Be'er Sheva. We tried to do it, and we hope it will be faster. But we try to specific area to try things and try pilots on living a grid. It's something, it's difficult. What I said before, the grid is very sensitive. The electricity is very specific, unique challenges. You cannot change it the way you want. It's not like a stock market because it's a physical world. And there is people that consuming from the grid at the same time. You're trying to change the voltage, or you try to increase the energy you bring to the grid. So it's something very difficult, but we want to do more sandbox like this. Dicey, Gili maybe will expand about that, about the lab they built. And we want to do it more, maybe in the sea, like a sandbox in the sea, and in other areas that we can try things not in the pilot in the lab, like in the real world. Also, we need to understand that it's not all about the technology. We need to try to imagine the business model will be after that, because it's nice to bring something and then test it and see if it's working. It's very interesting, but then we need to see how in the real world it can bring his money back. There is continue, because we build the grid and the system for a long period of time. Okay, the grid is hopefully built for 40 or 2 decades, 40 years ago, 40 years above, and so we need to think what is going to be in the future. And also the Israeli electricity market, it just opened 8 years ago. Okay, what happening in Europe in the last 30 years, we're trying to put it in Israel in less than 10 years. So we open the market, we bring competition, we open the generation, we open the supply chain, we're opening every sector we can, and in the same time we have a lot of challenge. The data centers and the EV vehicle and the solar panels and batteries and a lot of things all the time. We set a lot of regulation and we change it in very recent period because all the changes in the market. So it's very challenging, but this is something we need to work on it. And now we bring the innovation inside the system. Like they said, we have to do it. We cannot build more grid, not under the ground and not above the ground. There is a limitation of land in Israel.
So that's maybe like it's important point, and maybe Gili can also share, and Sharon as well from their point of view. Like the grid is not like easy assets to actually penetrate into, getting a data access, modeling, working with those solutions that actually can be benefits to the grids, but how to penetrate, how to get the access. Maybe you can share how do you do it? So.
Yeah, you're right. Saying it's not easy is getting easy on it. It's not true. It's very hard. You know, and it's supposed to be like that, right? Because in critical infrastructure, reliability is you cannot negotiate it. So what we're trying to do is work with what we have and trying to get more of the grid we have, and not harm it, because it's built very good, and we saw it during the last few years and the challenges, and really the state of Israel is something that the whole world is talking about, the electricity and how we face the challenges. So what we do, we're trying to take, as I said, what we have and make the most of it, out of it. So we're building, and it's Ido mentioned it, and it's worth saying a word about it, because it's platforms that are going to be ready very soon. And when? I think it's yeah. So I'm gonna talk about it. So we're building 2 main platforms actually. One is Living Lab, we call it, in Be'er Sheva, a smart neighborhood. Basically, we're trying. One of our the thought was that we can't understand, and nobody will tell us. This is where all of the citizens are going to take electrical car and would like to, charge their car at the same time, or everyone here is going to put PV on the roof, and so on and so on. Smart technologies that are changing the grid and actually can harm the grid, right? So we are taking one neighborhood, 1,000 households in that polygon, in a neighborhood, and we want to push it 15 years forward. We have a situation where everybody, when I say everybody, of course, it's never everybody, but it's most of the people have PV on their roof. They have electric cars. They have energy storage in their home, private one or in the neighborhood, and so on and so on. And we're going to have it in the next year or two, so the whole neighborhood would have and hold and use those smart technologies the way we believe the state of Israel would look, but in 15 years. And then we can understand in a very condensed place how this affects the grid and how we can use more of the grid while people are using the new technologies, which is something very unique. And we do it with the very amazing help and really in a great collaboration with the regulators and the ministry. And I think it's going to be a place where we could check and try new technologies very quickly, understand how they affect the grid, and then apply it to the rest of the country pretty quickly. The second platform, which we're very proud of and we wait for it to open, is a lab, not a living lab, but actually a sandbox that we build in Nesher at the northern part of Israel. And we're taking the operational system, the operational grid, and we duplicate it into not an operational one, but a physical one. So we're going to have a complete grid, you know, high voltage, medium voltage, low voltage, the whole thing. Again, electric cars and PV on the roofs and storage and so on. But it's not going to be connected to the real operational grid, so that nobody will come and tell us you're harming the grid, don't use or don't try this very great technology right now because it can harm the grid. So we're going to have our sandbox, and then we're going to go out to all the startups that would come and try their technologies in a very fast way, and we hope that way to really just reduce the gap between the invention to the deployment and to real operational solutions.
This sounds amazing, and I hope that everything will be able to get quickly to the actually working, and people, the startups and companies can use that, because this is completely what is needed.
I have to say we're first in the world.
Yeah,
so we're very,
still, but there is national labs in some other countries that are serving, and they have the same similar platforms, but definitely sure. Maybe let's just like to conclude, because our time is almost up, and maybe with final questions, or if you want to address something before that, Sharon, you can. But maybe forward-looking questions, 3-4 years, 2030 is arriving from your point of view, strategy point of view. You mentioned multiple blend of solution. Brian mentioned as well how to harness more solution into the community. Maybe you can share a little bit more what you see, practical elements, anything you think it can be different when we sit here next time?
I think, first of all, it's very important for me to say that I think that our chief scientist, like over the years, is proving how important it is to have this kind of activity inside the Ministry of Energy. And I think that the idea of continue to invest in technology and then, have it into our regulation and policies. This is something that is very unique and it's crucial to our energy system. And I think that one of the things that we should do, as I mentioned before, that we need to widen our perspective. And I think that the fact that we are sitting here together, regulation and the government company all together, is one of the things that we have to do. To give a 360 perspective and regulation. So I think this is one thing that we should do. And as I said at the beginning, I think that we should focus on the highest TRLs and the access to the market. So we need to make sure that the gate is open. So this is something that we are going to do with our chief scientists and, of course, our colleagues. And I think that the second thing that we should do is try to focus on technology that can really influence the Israeli market. And I'm guessing that Brian mentioned it also. You talked about Blue Tech, for example. So a new TAMA has just been approved a few months ago, and I think that in 3 to 5 years from now, we can actually going to see platforms on the sea that is connected to the Israeli grid, that you can come and try your technology. So we need to have a lot of those projects that also Gili said, that you can implement. And then we have all the different tools, and I've been talking about earlier about the loans, and we need to extend, of course, the money that we support. And I want to touch one more issue. We are talking a lot about the energy bridge. So the idea of Israel being a bridge between east to west, and we are talking about infrastructure. I mean, we are pushing the cable to Europe, and we're all familiar with prosperity. But I think that in a way, when things will calm down a bit, technology can be the first bridge that we are building, because we don't need infrastructure for that. So I think that this is also something that we want to promote. We get the bird energy, but we can double it for different countries in the area, and I'm guessing that a lot of opportunities will open at the next few months. So I'm very optimistic.
Looking forward. Gili and Ido, maybe Ido from your side, you mentioned 8 years to bridge 30 years of Europe market. How do you see 4 years from now? Will we be able to bridge the gap?
Hopefully, yes. But the main goal is just to lower the barriers for everything, from the regulation, from the money, from how you get access to the grid or to the other facility, just to lower the barriers that we have. Still keeping the reliability, stability of everything, but lower the barriers to everyone to participate. I think that's enough.
That's good enough. That's definitely good enough.
I don't think success should not be measured in 3-4 years, right? For the stage where we are, I don't think success should be measured by number of startups, new startups, or number, which is always good, but not as what we're going through now. Not number of startups, not number of pilots, number of deployments and real operational solutions. This is what we need. This is what the State of Israel needs. This is what Israel Electric needs. This is what startups need, because we have already amazing technologies and brains. Startups needs to see deployments, and this is what we all working very hard together in a collaboration to see how we reduce the gap. So in 3-4 years, as you asked, we're going to see not only a startup nation at the State of Israel, we're going to see, I would say, energy deployment nation. This is what we need.
So let's finalize with this positive statement of the Energy Tech Nation. Hope we're going to have more maturity. We see already evolvement in our ecosystem, less barriers, more money, more support to create a fertilized environment to more solution. Thank you for everyone joining us.